Hello people, today we are talking about data validation in Microsoft Excel. Now, think about this. You are the human resource manager in a company called BES Limited, for example. Recently, you did a recruitment of new employees into your company. Now, you'd want to obtain certain information from your employees similar to what is contained in this particular table highlighted. One of your objectives is to ensure that you obtain quality data from these employees and also direct them on how they should enter and what kind of data they should enter into given cell or cell range. So the best tool to use for this particular case is data validation. This is because through data validation, we are able to restrict the kind of information entered in a given cell or cell range based on the conditions that are specified. So let's get it started. First, ensure you are at the Data tab, and then you go to the Data Tools panel. Then we have this icon for data validation. Now let's begin with the branch ID. We will highlight that range. Then we go to data validation, click on that. We have this dialog for data validation. For the branch ID, let's say for example that you'd want to limit the entry of text into that particular range to just 9 characters, and that you'd also want to instruct or direct these employees on what to do when they click on any of those cells within that range. So this is how we go about it. Within the settings tab of this particular dialog, you select on text length. Once you select on that, because we want just 9 characters, then we'll select on equal to, length will specify by 9. Now for the input message is the message which is displayed anytime someone clicks on a cell within the specified range. You can decide either to have a title or not. In our case, we'll have a title, let's call it instruction. The input message, let's say for example, enter 9 characters. Okay, so now when you click on OK, you realize that anytime I click on a cell within this range, I get this tooltip, and this is my input message that we need to enter 9 characters for the branch ID. So if I enter branch ID like this one, click on enter, that's okay because it is 9 character. If I decide to do away with one of the characters, the value entered does not match the restrictions defined for this particular cell. You can either continue or just click on no or just cancel. Let's take it to the next level. Let's go to this particular column for the name. Now for the names, you have got 2 options. You can either type in your source directly at the dialog, or you source your names from a given database. Now the names, if they are constantly changing, for example you are constantly recruiting employees into your company, then it will only be prudent that you have your names tucked in within a given database, which you can update every time you make new recruitments. So highlight that particular range, go to data validation, then you have got this data validation dialog. This time around, we'd want to use say list. Then we'd want to specify our source. So for my case, I have my database here, so I'll just come and specify this particular range. Now for the input message, you can go ahead and enter an appropriate input message as well as the error alert. I will instruct us on how to do that in a few minutes. But for now, let's just click on OK. So now we have, anytime you click on a cell within that column, we have all the names that you need. Now let's say you select on Callisto Benedict, it will reflect. Any other name like maybe Cyprus John, it will reflect. So the question is, what happens when you come and do away with a name from your database? will it still reflect within the drop down? Let's find out. It will now appear as a blank within the drop down. And that's very important. So let's take it back. Also, what happens when I make, or rather the company makes another recruitment? Say someone called Steven Ben has been recruited. Will the name reflect within the drop-down list? Let's find out. The name will not reflect. And that's because that name, Steven Ben, does not fall within the range specified for the source initially. So we have several ways of solving this. The first way is to actually convert this table into an Excel table, because Excel tables are smart and intelligent. So every time that you update an Excel table, it should also update in the drop-down list. So what we do, we'll just click at any point within the table, then we go to insert, then we come to this particular point. Now we have this dialog for create table. This is our range for our table. Then my table has headers. Okay, so I already have my table there. What if I don't want that particular format displayed? I just clear it. So I've just inserted my Excel table. So the next thing that I do is I would want to obtain the name for this particular Excel table, and it has been created as table 1. So I'll just come and click on equal sign, then I click at that particular point. So once we have that displayed, so this is actually what now we will use to specify our source. So we'll just go ahead and copy it. So once we've copied it, then it means that now we come back here and highlight this range. Then now we go to data validation, and we're able to use list still, but for the source we'd want to bring in our table name that we copied at that particular point. So the other thing we're going to do, we're going to introduce what we call indirect function. So the indirect function actually converts a text into an address. So the first thing you do is to convert this into a text using the quotation marks, then bring in indirect function and just write indirect, then we have those quotation marks. So make sure you have a bracket there, and then you have another bracket. Now when you click on OK, and now you check your drop down list, the name should now appear. So if we come here and update, let's say, let's have this new employee Steve Frank, and now when we come back to our drop down list, we're able to see the name, and we can even go ahead and select it. So that's how we would handle such kind of situation. This particular column for age, we'd want to bring in a little bit of more things. So go to data validation. For age, we'd want to choose on all number, and we'd want to choose, let's say in our company, we would not want to employ someone who is below 18 years old and above 65 years old. For the input message, the title, we can just have their age restriction, then input message, enter age between 18 and 65 years. Okay, then for the error alert, invalid age, then the error message should read that the age entered does not fall between 18 and 65 years. Okay, so now we have the two of them, error alert and the input message. So when you go ahead and click on OK, age restriction, enter age between 18 and 65 years old. So that's how we go about that. For the departments, we are going to learn about the new method of ensuring that once we update our database, then we'll be able to see it reflected within the various departments. So highlight it, come to data validation, Then you choose on list. Then you're able to specify your source. This is your source for the department. Then you just say okay. So what happens when we add another department to this list? Will it appear within this particular drop-down list? It will only appear if we either create an Excel table within this particular table, or we bring in that new department in between, just before the end of this particular list. So what we'll do, let's say we highlight that, then we insert. So we can bring in our new department, let's say FTQ for the code, and the new department is planning. So once we do that, now when we go back to our departments, we're able to see and select our new departments. So that's also very important. So let's come to the date of employment. For the date of employment, we just want to come to data validation, and then we're able to choose on date. For the date, let's say that this recruitment took place within a specified period of time, let's say between 15th of June 2020 and 21st of June 2020. So once you click on OK, of course you can go ahead and add the input message and the error alert as had been instructed before. What happens when I enter 10th of June 2020? It will be accepted. But when I'm in 10th of June, it doesn't fall in between 15 and 20 and 21st. So you can just say okay for that. Now for the strengths, we would want to ensure that we restrict the text length for the strengths. So we'll have text length between 30 for the minimum text and 40 characters for the maximum. And for the input message, you just want to say there, for example, text length, and then input message, you'd want to instruct them to enter a text between 30 and 40 characters. Then for the error alert, you just want to talk about invalid length for the text. Then error message, you can tell them that the text entered does not have character between 30 and 40. Okay. So now when you click on OK, then anytime you click in this particular cell, you have got this input message, text length, enter text between 30 and 40 characters. If you come and enter very short text, you will be told that the text enters does not have characters between 30 and 40. And also, if you come and enter very long character, the text entered does not have characters between 30 and 40. Yeah, so that's how we use data validation in Microsoft Excel. I hope you've enjoyed like I've done. Thank you for joining.